I'm not aware. What I did on the research that I've done, a 1 mile, because the only way to enforce a 1 mile zone or a 3 mile zone, it would have to be agreed upon by the county and the wind farm developer. Countywide, statewide, a 1 mile radius, 1 mile zone is the only thing that has been agreed upon and, you know, that's held up without litigation, without lawsuits, that was actually held up in court. If we tried to do a 3 mile, I feel we would get sued, we would lose, and then we would have nothing.
But it would be okay for the city of Parsons to put up that 3 mile zone?
They already had zoning in place prior to any leases being signed. That was done 20 years ago. That zone was done 20 years ago. And they have control over what can, because they have citywide zoning. This is a zoning question.
Well, it would be a difference of opinion because the
No,
fact of the
that's the
matter is
fact.
you could put a resolution in. Had you put that in your resolution
It
to
would
start
not-
with,
it would not-
because
it is-
as a business major myself, and I know that you're a business major, right? You have your degree in business finance, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we know that when it comes to business, I would have started with a 12 to 25 page resolution moving forward with RWE, not an 8-point bulletin, half page, 3/4 page resolution, Commissioner. Right, so we know when it comes to business, we start deep, we go deep, and then we work our way back. Is that not correct?
Have you ever been in business?
Commissioner?
Have you ever been in business?
I'm a business major.
Okay, you're a business major.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Okay, I'm done.
Next question. Commissioner Kinsey and Farrell both keep referring to what we're only looking at a days and size without our argument. Kinsey and Commissioner Kinsey asked if we had looked at the Iowa environmental study, which was the last study that it was 2 weeks ago that I spoke. You had mentioned the Iowa environmental study. Okay, do you guys agree that there's a lot of data that is conflicting on the topics surrounding wind energy?
I believe Commissioner Addis let you on the commission, so maybe you ought to address your questions to him.
Well, you're my commissioner, so I'm addressing my question
Well,
to you.
I'm not gonna speak
You're not gonna speak.
on this subject today.
It's on the health and the safety of industrial wind turbines, Commissioner. And you don't wanna speak to one of your constituents or the residents of Labette County
Not today.
about this issue. Okay. Okay, so I think we can agree that the information is conflicting and contradictory in nature, which makes it possible, or makes it difficult and practically impossible to know what is correct or incorrect when making these life-altering decisions for families and friends of mine that are living within the footprint. But based on the fact that Commissioner Kinsey asked if I read the Iowa environmental study and mentioned that we're only looking at studies that confirm our position, it's obvious that there is conflicting and contradicting data. Knowing that there is conflicting and contradicting information about the health and safety of industrial wind turbines and how they could possibly affect individuals and families that are required to live amongst them, is it safer for those families inside and directly around the footprint if the industrial wind facility is built or not built? And Commissioner Kinsey, I'd like to quote you as saying that the health and safety of the citizens would be your number one concern.
That's correct.
Okay, now on to my solution.
How many wind farms are there in the nation?
Commissioner, I didn't think you were speaking about this issue.
Oh, so you don't have an answer?
Well, I do. I have
Okay.
questions. I have plenty of questions for you, but you told me you
What's
weren't
that,
speaking
what,
about
I can
You
ask
won't
a
answer
question.
anything.
this. Okay, well,
You
Only the person that can address any
Jesus
question.
Christ, how many times do we have to go over this?
Brian, if this goes through, it's gonna affect everybody in this county for the next 40 years. I
And
think
it
it's
can
40.
positively. Can affect them positively.
few people, yes.
A few.
Right.
What
Well,
few?
The ones that's gonna make money off of it, that's her.
And what do you think they do with that money?
I don't know.
They're building a new clinic here. Isn't that a good thing?
That was by the taxpayers, but that's not because of wind energy. We're talking about
No,
health
you're-
and safety
you're
of
talking
industrial
about
wind
Beechners.
turbines.
You're talking about Beechners making money, aren't you? How many dollars
Did
did
I mention
Beechner?
did I mention the beach?
No, you said a few. He's
A
one of
few.
the few.
Okay, so you
So-
know him, I don't.
So Corky Beechner, do you know how much he gave to this clinic over
I
here?
have no idea. I know he was there, you know, cause I visited with him and shook his hand. You have, Mr. Ghering, you have the floor.
Yeah, my solution, gentlemen, because like I said, I'll bring you a solution with every problem, is the Great Plains Industrial Park. Okay, it's situated in Labette County, just outside of the city limits of Parsons in southeast Kansas. Great Plains offers globally competitive opportunities for your business. The central location in the U.S. and on-site assets at the park allow for ease of access to all major markets. And I believe that the Great Plains Industrial Wind Park is under the governance of Labette County. Okay, so it has almost 14,000 acres, which I believe is roughly 2/3. How many acres are leased, Commissioner, for the wind turbines? You don't know?
We don't have 14,000 acres.
It's on the website for Great Plains Industrial Park, Commissioner. That's where I pulled this information.
No, we don't have 14,000 acres. Dan Zimmerman purchased 4,000 acres.
Okay, and I think that I'll get into that
Okay.
as we go along.
Because we don't have control over that 4,000
Okay.
acres.
Okay, so but there is 3 landfills.
And then there's 3,000 acres at the Wildlife and Parks House.
That's correct.
So we don't have any control over that.
Okay.
We're a little over 6,900 acres.
16, well, I think 7,000. Yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
69,000. Okay, so but there's 3 landfills. So I think we know that as these industrial wind turbines are around for 10, 15 years, they start to break. They wear out parts. So there's already 3 landfills there. There is 4,300 acres under lease. In 2019,
The 3 landfills have been capped.
they've been capped.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the 2019 ag lease revenue was $90,000. Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks and Tourism, 2019 lease miscellaneous revenue was $354,500. The infrastructure and road and rail, 7,000 acres owned by Great Plains, which is what you mentioned, Commissioner. 106 miles of road. Looped rail system with 30 miles of rail directly connected to the UP, including an in-place switch off of the main line, which is the only reason why I bring that up is I think Commissioner Kinsey, you brought that up a couple weeks ago for I think it was for offloading the wind turbines, correct? Yeah. So there's an 8-track rail yard site. Received $1.64 million of KDOT grant for rail rehab in 2019. It's welcoming to heavy industry, maybe industrial wind turbines. It's,
They have.
it's
It's a
welcoming to,
lay down yard.
what's that again?
There's a lay down yard in there and there's a company that operates
Correct.
that wind turbines are being sent into there and then shipped out on highways.
Correct. But what I'm saying is we wouldn't have to do that. If we were to put these wind turbines inside the Great Plains Industrial Park, because you could stack them in there like dominoes, and have, instead of what Mr. Hernandez from RWE quoted as saying 50 to 80 wind turbines, I think you could probably put somewhere around 150 wind turbines in there. Is my point.
Or, do you know that? But the big thing is where they tend to set their farms at or for accessibility to transmission lines.
Correct. And I'll allude to that as well, Commissioner.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it's welcoming to energetics, which is the properties of something in terms of energy, and the branch of science dealing with the properties of energy and the way in which it is redistributed in physical, chemical, and biological processes. The electricity provided by Westar. Property previously wired for heaviest loads, transmission lines. There's an electric substation on site. The reason why I bring this to your attention, because all of the money from leases and the percentage of wind generated and produced would go directly to the county. There's no houses in the footprint. No one could build a house inside the footprint or any type of structure as well. The land lease for ag could still be used for farming purposes, which is also farming purposes in there, as far as the ag and KWPT uses as well. I think that we could probably talk to them, work a business deal, and set some wind turbines in there. I know it's funny, Commissioner. I know it's fun.
Anything else, Mr. Ghering?
But there is, I would like to ask you all to consider placing this industrial wind turbine footprint inside the Great Plains Industrial Park. Would you consider that as a solution?
I did over 15 years ago.
You did over 15 years ago?
Looked at that. In my previous commissioner's life, when I studied about wind farms.
You looked at putting the wind turbines inside the Great Plains Industrial
I
Park?
looked at having a wind farm in the industrial side, yes.
And the result was no?
Yeah, no, the technology wasn't there yet.
But the technology's there now, correct?
Yeah, but the engineers that this company has are suited where they wanna go. We don't tell them where they go. You don't tell them.
Or are you saying,
No, but the county.
wait, I wanna ask a question now.
Okay.
Are you saying the county should build these?
I'm saying the county could place these inside.
How do I place those inside there?
Well, it's under governance of Labette County.
I don't have control over private businesses.
No, but I think you could work with them to place instead of placing them around the footprint around 200 households in western Labette County, I think that we could place those wind turbines inside the Great Plains Industrial Park.
But then I'm going to tell all the land people that have leased their land, they can't, I'm gonna nix that project, and what about any, land lease payments that they're gonna lose out on? What do I do about those?
Commissioner, I don't
No,
think
what do
that
I do about
RWE
those?
cares about the landowners inside Labette County.
Well, what
Unless
about
they
the people
lease.
that signed leases and are expecting a payment stream for the next 20 years? What do I tell them?
I would tell them it's probably somewhere in the 50 to 60 page contract that they've signed, that RWE could probably void that at any given
Okay.
time.
How do I convince RWE to move an entire project that their engineers have came in and said, here, this is the most economic, if you're a business manager, they're going to go in what is most viable for them.
Well, I'm
Correct?
glad you asked that question because of
No,
the
I
railroad.
just asked you.
The railroad, okay?
No,
We
you're
have-
not listening.
I hear,
No.
you're saying, how do I attack that from a business perspective? Correct? And I'm telling you, 106 miles of road inside that complex, inside that industrial park. 106 miles of road.
106 miles.
You
away.
have an 8-track,
And they're going
rail
to-
yard on site.
So I don't know how much.
There's a
Okay.
$1 million grant that's been received already that's used to fix that, to do rail rehab on those tracks. It's there. Everything that you would need for these industrial wind turbines is on that park. It's there. It's sitting and waiting. Even a substation.
And you know all of this? How?
It's on the website, Commissioner.
And that makes it.
I will give this to you
it
as soon
makes
as I'm
it-
done.
So you are completely 100% sure that the technology, the transmission lines, and all of the
Well, I'm
logistics.
I'm asking
No, you
about-
don't know.
I'm asking
So
about the
stop
technology.
making assumptions that you know
Commissioner,
everything.
I'm asking a question. I'm asking a simple question. Commissioner Kinsey is the one that brought up the technology. He said it wasn't there 15 years ago, but he said it's there now.
It's pointless.
So why is this pointless? If everything is already there, how could this possibly, from a business perspective, how could this possibly be pointless?
From a business perspective, just a business perspective. That's it.
That's
all
it.
you want to look at.
That's all I'm looking at right now.
Right now, business, okay, so the most economical way of doing this project, you feel, in your opinion, because you're a business major, is going to Great Plains Industrial Park, because all the logistics, the technology, everything is right there, and that's probably the cheapest way. But the international wind farm developer didn't think to look at that first, and they just decided to go into western Labette County because it's gonna cost them more money. This has already been, it's been examined, it's been researched. This, where it is placed,
Commissioner?
no, I'm not done. Where it is being placed is based on the wind that is produced, based on the how cost effective, how much energy can be produced, what the benefit it is to everybody involved. That's where they go.
Commissioner, how often does the wind blow in Labette County?
You tell me.
You quoted me 35%. After the very first time I spoke,
35% efficiency.
I gave you 46. You corrected me and said 35.
35%
Okay,
efficiency.
but what I found out is actually 32%. So what you're trying to tell me is that on the west end of the county, the wind blows at 35 or 32%, but it doesn't on the east end of the county?
I said the efficiency of a wind turbine is 35% roughly.
35, but the wind is blowing 35% of the time, is what you told me. It's not gonna blow any different on the west end of the county as it is on the east end of the county. Is it, Commissioner?
There's nothing I can say that will change your mind.
I'm giving you a solution to the problem,
We
Commissioner.
might be able to recruit a new one, but I'm not sure that's what
What's
as we got deeper into the weeds, there was talk about us just selling the ground back to the farmers.
Why would you have to sell the ground back to the farmers?
Listen to me.
I am. I'm just
No,
asking a question.
In the discussion of what we would do with the industrial park,
Okay.
one of the questions was brought up, why don't we just sell it back to the farmers? And my goal and I believe the other commissioners' goals at the time was, let's keep as much intact as we can. We can offer a large sites, so that'd be a specialty in the state. In fact, we got granted the ability to do that from the state, cause normally it's cities that has industrial sites. We got granted to have an industrial site there. And the purpose of that was to bring in an industry that could create several jobs.
And that's where you're saying the industrial wind turbines to bring it?
No, that's where I'm saying we made the curve from an industrial wind site back there to keeping it intact to possibly give an industry, say an industry wants to come in and create 300 jobs, might need 400 acres.
That's where they would go.
Okay, so
There's
that's-
That was the decision we made back then.
Okay.
There's a
So I
foreign
understand
trade
what you're
zone
saying.
out there as well.
There's
I
a
understand.
foreign trade zone out there now, we wanna utilize that.
Okay, but what I'm saying is
Do
because
you understand how foreign trade works?
no, I will have to look into it, or you can explain it to me.
Well, a product that may be needed in Kansas City can come all the way to Labette County untaxed from China or
So from any foreign company,
any foreign country.
which is RWE, a foreign company.
No,
Yes.
you don't get it.
Well, no, but explain. I'm just saying.
But you interrupt me.
But I'm asking a question.
But don't interrupt me.
Very well. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you done?
I said go ahead.
I'm just saying.
So any foreign company untaxed can come to the Great Plains
Make it
Industrial
fair.
Park.
And then we collect taxes when it goes from here to Kansas City or here to Wichita. So we get a tax benefit. So it comes in, sits down in our rail yard,
Okay.
and then it's shipped out from there.
Okay. I understand that. Okay.
Okay.
But can they still not do that with wind turbines on the premises?
But we wanna land an industry there that might create 300 to 400 jobs.
But they can still do that with industrial wind
Not
turbines on.
necessarily, I don't know too many cause they restrict building on, around certain.
Well, sure, they do.
areas.
We know, it's called trespass zoning, and the farmers here probably aren't aware, and sort of the non-leased property owners, with that trespass zoning, aren't aware
I just
either.
want you to understand why we changed from a wind to an industry.
Right,
That's all I'm saying.
I understand that,
Okay.
Commissioner, but what I'm saying is,
That's all I got to say.
it can still be done.
We understand where you're coming from.
If you won't consider this, gentlemen, what is it do you have to
We
gain?
might. If we can't get.
Excuse me?
What do you have to gain if you won't even consider this?
What, are you implying that I have some financial gain?
Well, I don't know, Commissioner, I'm asking it because I've given you, I think, 4 solutions now.
You haven't given us
to
a
this.
solution, you've given us some pie-in-the-sky
A
request.
special vote, a moratorium. What was the last one I gave last time I spoke?
Litigation.
It's not
and call-
litigation.
And call the International
Because
Wind Farm
the last-
Company and say,
The
"We
resolution I
want to
gave you,
move."
Commissioner, does away with that litigation, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. I don't come to you without looking and doing my research,
Have you
Commissioner.
taken business law yet?
I have.
We got payroll.
Well, we got other business to do besides, no. I just,
Not
I wanna
payroll,
give
not
Mr.,
payroll.
I wanna give Mr. Ghering every opportunity
Yep.
to present
He's
what he.
made us, and it's, I'm
Okay.
not saying it's not a good case. Might be something we might consider. down
Josh,
the
do you have
road.
anything else you wish to present to the board?
No, sir.
I do wanna appreciate you coming in here. I know you're not here as an individual, you represent a number of individuals who are looking at this very seriously, if it's going to impact.
That have litigation against us.
And I just wanna appreciate everything you do. And again, to be a marine
think
drill
it's
instructor and to be at tab
You
six.
think
and re-
litigation's funny?
Commissioner, this would not lead to litigation.
Oh, yeah, it would.
The authority that you all have as commissioners, when it comes to writing a resolution and making things happen, is
So
virtually
write a
unreal.
resolution saying that, you pick up the wind farm and move it out to our industries.
Tell me why it couldn't happen. Where would the litigation come from?
RWE,
Really?
The landowners?
You're giving them, you're
Landowners.
giving the RWE land. That's all they care about. Is
But
making
the
the
landowners
federal
are-
subsidies, Commissioner. They
No.
could care less about
are
where
you
the land
willing
is
to
at.
pay for their engineering studies and all they'd have to do to move it?
Have they started
Are
the
you
engineering
willing?
studies?
Well, they're in Labette County, don't you think they've done some?
Well, last time I asked you about studies, you hadn't received any. So that's the reason why I'm asking.
That's not engineering studies.
Engineering, environmental, I asked about all the studies. All of them.
They've not,
In
just
gen-
because
in
they haven't
general.
turned anything over to the county doesn't mean they're not doing it.
Well, that's correct.
And we also know that they had up their met data towers for some time now.
That's true.
So-
I understand that.
So it's been done.
Yes.
There's some things have been done.
Are you willing to pay for that?
Commissioner, it would lead to litigation.
Okay. Josh, do you have anything else you need?
No,
to say?
Commissioner, I'm good.